Hello and welcome to another video in the Behind the Development series. Now I'm pretty sure you've seen some of these already, but you're kind of getting tired of the work in progress builds where we had a previous version that was running and executed, you see it playing back. So I figured we go deeper into the nitty-gritty of what really made this game, and in terms of the assets that's covered, the sound, and everything else, because after all, that is the purpose of Behind the Development. So right here you can see in this window we have one of the elements. Actually, this is the one that I worked on in addition to others, and basically since I understand the work file and I have it, I figured I covered this as the first in the series. So this is the Campfire element, if you haven't already guessed. Now I started with just this group over here. This is a Unity prefab. Now for those who are not game developers, you'll not understand, but a prefab is basically a group of objects. And you can see it's actually made up of different components. So I have the 3D mesh and a bunch of Unity particles that's, generating particles in real time. Okay, so this is version 5, and basically this is the final version that was used in the game. We did have previous versions based on, different look that was approved, and this was the one that was actually finally approved. Now again, because I am recording this live, it tends to lag my stream a little bit, so I'll actually stop the playback here in a moment. But before I do that, let me just go over to this game screen right here. Now this is the game screen where it actually plays it in the game mode, and you can see how it actually looks like in the game. Now the Tricount seems pretty high, and for all artists working on this project with me, when I developed the process, basically we had to make sure and look at the Tricount to make sure it's not too high for mobile. Now here's a cheat. I actually have the skybox turned on when I do my reviews, but technically if I turn this off, so I'm just going to really quickly do it over there, you can see that my Tricount kind of dropped. But that's a little cheat, you see, because I review with the skybox on, just in case, you never know. I just want to make sure that at least you have that buffer space for the Tricount. Okay, so that's skybox. I just turned it back on. And now I'm actually going to turn off my play mode because it gets very laggy when I do this for too long. Okay, and you can see my particles stop generating because it is live generation. Now, unless I click on it, and that's when you'll basically simulate my particles. So anyway, you can see this folder set right here. It just basically covers the entire version from version 1 all the way to the final version, which you have is version 5. Now, you can see we basically, in the process that I've developed for the team, we have different versions for different approvals, and of course everything in this entire work file contains all the images and stuff that was used in all versions regardless, because it is a Unity file and it's better to keep it contained to that one particular file name. Okay, so if let's say, so for the 3D mesh, whenever there's a 3D mesh inside an element, it's basically imported from the 3D software. So for me, for this element, I worked in Maya with Unity. You can see right here, I have the mesh, I have the texture. Now this shader right here, the XDK, is actually one of the developers' shaders, or that they used for the game. So I'm not going to cover too much into that. It's basically optimized for mobile, and that's why, it's a specific shader. For the particles, we have mobile shaders. You can see right here. Basically all optimized for mobile, because initially we did only aim to launch on the Gear VR. Now, that being said, you can see that there's no Tricount playing because we're not in the play mode right here. I'm actually going to show you how we do our adjustments for the particles in Unity for this particular element. Now, if you create particles inside Maya and try to import it, it's not going to work unless you do some kind of conversion, which again will cost a lot of Tricount and space, which we don't want our phones to burn and melt down, so we didn't do that. So we basically have all the values right here that we are adjusting. So I'm just going to go into the flames particle effects, and I can actually pause this when I'm working on it, or simulate and stop it entirely if I want to. So I'm going to increase the rate over time. You can see that I can change it instantaneously in the game as well. Of course, this is up to the developers to control, because all these are controllable by code. Okay, too much information? Yes, it is. So I'm going to set this back. And that's really pretty much it for the Campfire element. I'm just going to play this just so you can see. Alright, so yeah, I hope you find it useful. Now that when you bring up or discover the Campfire element in-game, you know what's behind the scenes, the different particles and everything going on. So yes, so in the next video of Behind the Development, perhaps I'll cover something a little bit different, or maybe just another particle effects, and I'll go deeper into how it was created. So So yes, just remember all this stuff going on when you're creating the Campfire element. Just for you guys. Okay, so once again, I hope you learned something. Hope you find this fun and useful, and have fun, creating stuff in Create VR. Again, we have all the updates already launched for Gear VR and Oculus Rift, so stay tuned for that and any news on further updates. We listen to you, we get your feedback, and we implement them, although it takes time, but we do implement them. All right, so again, have fun creating what's on your mind.